So behind me you see a math problem from a post entitled, "What the hell is this? Common Core Math?" I'm going to give you a few seconds to really look it over and try to get at what it's trying to say. So I see a lot of confused looks on your faces, and although you may have a little difficulty trying to understand this problem, I want you to know that a lot of elementary mathematics students are expected to know how to solve this problem. But what may not be as obvious to you about it is that it's not actually Common Core Math. It really comes from a curriculum called Everyday Math, which is just one company's approach to teaching elementary mathematics. Now, the difference between Everyday Math and Common Core is that Common Core is a set of standards that students are expected to know as they advance from grade level to grade level, but Everyday Math is the methods that teachers use to teach students these concepts. Now, you may be thinking that not much has changed but the name, that the math is still the same and it's still very confusing for students. And a few weeks ago, I was in your shoes exactly. I didn't understand why Everyday Math was necessary. But once I did my research, I discovered that a lot of my misconceptions of everyday mathematics were not based in fact. And unfortunately, a lot of parents have these same misconceptions. So today I'm going to be talking to you about why introducing a parent supplement with everyday mathematics textbooks will allow parents to see the ease and simplicity of the everyday math curriculum. So first, we're going to discuss a little bit about what the problem surrounding everyday math and parents is. Next, we'll look into what's causing the hype. And finally, we'll go through my solution step by step and see how exactly it solves the problem. So the main issue surrounding everyday math is that parents don't understand the curriculum, so they shut it down as an inferior educational method. A lot of parents think that everyday math is the same as Common Core, and so they think it's just some new experimental method of teaching their kids math. But that's not the case at all. The University of Chicago's subsidiary, the Center for Elementary Mathematics and Science Education, who published the everyday mathematics curriculum, has actually been putting it into practice as early as 1989. I'm going to do a little math for you. The current year, 2015, minus 1989, is 26. That's 26 years that everyday math has been tried and tested in schools across the United States. And it has had positive effects. In a study done by Julie Riordan and Noyce Pendred, they found that in Massachusetts schools that had implemented everyday math for 4 or more years, students scored 5.7 points higher on standardized tests than schools that had not implemented the everyday math curriculum. So clearly this shows that everyday math has been having positive effects, despite parents' beliefs about it. The other issue surrounding everyday math is that it takes a more liberal education style, and parents aren't used to this kind of education. Everyday math teaches not just one method for solving a problem, but allows students to work out a solution using multiple methods. And although this may seem a little confusing at first, it really allows the students to understand that not only in math class, but in other problems they'll encounter in life, that there are multiple ways to come about a correct solution to solving a problem. And I see this methodology working even for myself here at Penn State. So I'm enrolled in Math 251, and my roommate is enrolled in the honors version of the course. And whereas I'm taught to replicate a method over and over again, it gets really monotonous, my roommate has to derive the equations for herself. And although this may be annoying to her at first, and she doesn't like to do it very much, it really allows her to get an idea of what the concepts behind the problem is. And it allows her to apply it not only to other math problems she'll see, but also to problems as she gets into different classes. So even though everyday math has been proven to be so effective, why do parents still reject it? Well, everyday math has a liberal education style, as I've said before, and parents don't understand why we need to learn multiple methods to solve one seemingly simple problem. A lot of parents have the "if it's not broke, don't fix it" ideology, where they believe that if one method works, there's no need to play around with it. But Andy Isaacs, who is one of the founders of everyday math, said that it needs to be a modern curriculum for a modern world. Now, what Andy Isaacs is trying to say is that as the world's problems become more difficult to solve, our current knowledge of math and science is not going to be enough to solve them efficiently and effectively. So the everyday math curriculum teaches critical thinking, which will allow students to truly get behind the knowledge that they currently possess and, innovate beyond that to solve the world's problems. Another more troubling aspect of everyday math, though, is that parents are expected to understand the concepts and teach them to their children, even though they're not actually blatantly taught how to do the problems. So a lot of parents find it difficult to balance jobs and home life. In a study done by Pew Research Center, 53% of parents say they have this problem. So obviously, these parents won't want to come home from a long day at work and try to teach their children math problems that they themselves are not familiar with and that they don't have any access to learning. So that's why introducing an everyday mathematics parent supplement would allow parents to become less frustrated with the system and teach them that it's easy and effective. So obviously, teaching the parents the methodologies would be the number one reason behind the parent supplement. Once they see the methods once, it'll be so easy for them to replicate it for their kids. For example, do you remember this problem from the beginning of the presentation? Well, I'm going to teach you to do it in about 30 seconds or less. So the main problem with this problem is that it's asking you to find 15 minus 7, and we all know that it's 8. And so do the students who would be doing this math problem. They just know how to come about it in multiple different ways. So really all the question is asking you to do is find the answer choice with the final answer equal to 8, which we can see is option C. Now obviously there's more going on behind the problem than just 15 minus 7. It's really trying to teach children the concept of grouping, which allows kids to take numbers and group them into multiples of 5 and their remainders. That allows them to do these kinds of math problems more easily. But once parents learn how to solve the problem using methods they already understand, then the parent supplement can introduce them to this new concept and they'll be able to understand it a little better. But just teaching them the methodologies isn't enough. Because parents mostly reject the everyday math curriculum because they think that it's just new and they associate it with Common Core, giving them a history of everyday math and its effectiveness in schools will allow them to really see that everyday math isn't out to hurt their kids and that it's showing positive effects. And finally, the importance of a liberal education should be stressed in the parent supplement. A lot of parents, when they think of liberal education, think of just language arts or economics, and they don't understand that it's a critical thinking process that will allow their students to solve the world's problems in the future. Once they understand the concept behind this, they'll truly understand why there needs to be a reform in mathematics education and become more comfortable trusting everyday math. So once parents see the ease and effectiveness of the everyday mathematics curriculum, we'll be able to move past this roadblock of wanting to get rid of everyday math and instead focus on how we can improve the curriculum to benefit not only our students, but our society as a whole. As students become more comfortable doing math through the everyday math curriculum, they'll more fervently pursue higher education, and thus we can move out of the aged ideals of the 20th century and into the modern 21st century domain. So everyday math isn't just a curriculum, it's a bridge between what is now and what could be. Thank you.